past 7 o'clock, so I will call tonight's council meeting to order. Karen, could we have a roll call?
Councilmember Husnick?
Here.
Councilmember Munson?
Here.
Councilmember Byström?
Here.
Councilmember Valento?
Here.
Mayor Bain?
Here. I'd like to invite everyone to rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council, we have an agenda before you this evening. I will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? And agenda is approved. Our next item this evening is open forum. Open forum is any interested party's opportunity to speak on any topic of their choosing. I would note that if you are here specifically for a follow-up agenda item, I would welcome you to speak either now at open forum or as part of that. And it looks like we have one speaker tonight for open forum, and that is Susan Young. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Susan Young, 9950 199th Street North, and I'm here tonight as president of the Forest Lake Rotary. It's Plunge Week! And I didn't see your names on one of the plunge teams. I realize it's just an oversight. You've got until Wednesday at 5 o'clock. All right, Wednesday at 5 o'clock. We're taking teams, we're taking individuals until Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Forest Lake Rotary.org. We've got some great teams coming in. We've got our city engineers team for jumping for Templa. We've got a team jumping for the Lakes International Language Academy. We've got a team jumping for the Y. Yes, Y scholarships. All right, we've got girls softball teams, two of them, one of them coming from North Branch. We've got Kettle for Cold. I mean, we've got lots of great nonprofit organizations. So, if you're not jumping, I may let you off the hook if you will donate to one of those nonprofit teams. Our plunge in Forest Lake is very, very unique in that we allow nonprofits to raise money. And as somebody who's sold a lot of Girl Scout cookies and pizzas and candy bars for sports and everything else, the 70% ROI, return on investment, is absolutely amazing as a fundraiser. We jump at noon on Saturday the 19th down at the lake. The Washington County Dive Team will be there. The Klondike Kates will be there. They will be singing the national anthem and a medley of cold songs. Klondike Kates, cold, how can you miss, okay? The American Legion and the VFW will be our color guard for the event. And we have the Miss Chain of Lakes and Miss Capital City who will be at the event. There will be a costume contest, both individual and team costumes. It's gonna be a heck of a deal, all right? We had hoped to try and get the city to collaborate and do a big celebration, but that same weekend there is a kids snowmobile race on the lake, so we're gonna have some food trucks available for both the snowmobile races and the plunge. We're looking forward to a great time. Wednesday, 5 o'clock. Y'all still got a chance. I'm looking for the names. Are there any questions, anything that I can tell you all that would help you or any of the folks that you know a little bit more about the event?
Donations can be made up until?
Up until plunge time.
Perfect.
Noon. And that is an especially important time for a couple of the teams because it is at noon on the 19th, bing, that we decide exactly who gets the plunge pot. And that plunge pot is growing.
Excellent.
All right?
So we're either plunging or pledging, right?
Or both.
Or both.
Some of us have been known to do both. All right? Thank you all very much.
Thank you,
Susan?
Susan.
Susan?
Yeah.
Plunging starts at noon, but what time can people start gathering at the park?
You can start gathering at the park. We're encouraging tailgating this year around the hole. So, yeah, hey, we're talking big family event this year. Heck of a deal. So you can start gathering around 11 o'clock, but registration is open from 9 until noon. And I will have the order of jumping available on Thursday, the Thursday before the plunge. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mayor Bain, can I just make a comment?
I know we typically don't in open forum, but I just wanted to say when I jumped a couple years ago, it was freezing, but it was fun. It was very fun. And it was quick. I just remember looking at Ryan and just going.
It used to be that the city council plunged.
Isn't it the newest city council member?
If I could make a comment to that. I am signed up to plunge. I'm plunging with Renew Hope. And it's my first time ever doing it, and I'm super excited.
Fabulous.
Thank you.
Sweet.
I'm sorry I missed your name. I've been looking, but it's a riot. And there was a tradition for several years that the council were the first jumpers. I would reserve that spot. Thank you all.
Thank you, Susan. Is there anybody else for open forum this evening? All right. With that, we will move on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda items for your consideration this evening are 6A through 6I. I will entertain a motion or any changes.
Mayor Bain, I'd like to pull consent agenda item B.
Very good.
I
And is
make a
the-
motion then that we consider consent agenda A, C, D, E, F, G, and H, I.
Very good.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And consent agenda items approved. Moving down to the regular agenda is item 6B.
We have one more item on 6. You pulled 6B, right? Now I'd make a
Now
motion
it's
that we
perfect.
approve the minutes from January 24th, 2022.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain?
Abstain.
One abstention, and minutes are approved. All right, item 7A is the resolution 214-2201, a donation, and Chief Newman is going to walk us through this.
Mayor, members of the council, up for consideration is a resolution to accept the donation to the fire department. I would like to ask the council to accept the donation with gratitude from Joan Paulson for $50. And I would also like to publicly thank her for her generous donation.
I would move for approval of resolution 214-2201 with gratitude. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? And motion carries. Our next item, continuing on our theme, is resolution 214-2202, and also Chief Newman.
I would like to ask the council to accept the donation with gratitude from Maranatha Assembly of God for $1,000 and would also like to publicly thank them for their generous donation.
I move that council approves resolution 214-2202 with gratitude.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? And motion is approved. Next item, 7C, 214-2203, continuing. Chief Newman?
I would like to ask the council to accept the donation with gratitude from Community Helping Hand for $1,000 and would also like to publicly thank them for their generous donation as well.
And I move for approval with gratitude, resolution 214-2203. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have, we'll take a second from Councilmember Munson. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? And motion carries. These are fantastic. Next item is resolution 214-2204, and Chief Newman once again.
Okay. I would like to ask the council to accept the donation with gratitude from Minnesota Truck Headquarters for $5,000. I would also like to publicly thank them for their generous donation.
I move that council approve with gratitude resolution 214-2204.
Second.
And we have a second. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? And motion carries. Chief Newman, it was worth your time coming here tonight. And next we have for council's consideration, resolution 214-2205, and Chief Peterson.
Yeah, Mayor and City Council members, good evening. What I have for you this evening is a resolution accepting a donation to the Police Department from Minnesota Truck Headquarters in the amount of $5,000. I want to publicly thank Minnesota Truck Headquarters for their generous donation and request the City Council accept the donation with gratitude.
And I move that council accepts Resolution 214-2205 with gratitude.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Oppose? And motion carries.
Madam Mayor, I just want to say that these are pretty generous donations,
Very,
so we can't thank those folks enough.
very. Agree 100%. All right, with that, moving on to item 7F, which is the Hidden Creek preliminary plat. And Ryan, I think you're walking us through this evening.
Yep, Mayor, City Council, with Nathan and joining sunny California, I'll walk you guys through the Hidden Creek preliminary plat application that was previously submitted and reviewed by Planning Commission on January 26, 2022. The applicant is seeking to develop 125 single-family residential lots in the Headwaters existing PUD area. Proposed development will consist entirely of detached single-family homes. The land use is consistent with the underlying zoning district, MRX1. The 2040 comprehensive plan, the vision established for this property in the Headwaters Master PUD. Within that Headwaters Master PUD, there were some deviations from the underlying zoning that were previously approved in the chart that you'll see in the second page of the packet. We are and have spoken with the developer to have a friendly amendment change to that, just to provide better, easier consistency through the developments. So we'll be striking the bottom 2 rows. So just kind of X that out, and then up above where it says 7.5 feet average, that will be the distance side setback that we're establishing. Therefore, we won't have any questions or potential garage, 2 garages abutting a lot line. Then we got down to 10 feet side setback. We want to retain the 15-foot side setback, as discussed with staff. That was one separate deviation. It's not the intent of that, so we're just cleaning this up. So there will be a little minor revision here, just to making sure all side setbacks will be set at 7.5 feet. Therefore, the minimum distance between any structure, whether it's garage or house, would be 15 foot, so. In regards to Parkland dedication, the required total parkland dedication for this development will be 5.72 acres. They'll be able to achieve 2.78 acres of land for local parkway surrounded by trails and stormwater, and the remaining 2.94 acres is estimated in cash in lieu and approximately $160,625. Public benefit this project will bring forward is we'll be adding trails and mixed-use paths and connectivity connections to both the east and north. With the development, Woodland Preservation, there are no significant trees or woodlands on this property, so there's no special rules or requirements to fulfill there other than the building permit requirements that will be established in the building permits, which requires every single house here, 125 lots, to plant 4 trees upon condition of their permit. So that's pretty typical how you guys have seen it. There has been some variations through that with some of the other developments, just to make it clean and easy for the building department moving forward. This is another conversation. Best practice moving forward, simple, 4 lots per the lot being developed. If there's special stuff outside of that, we would cover that through a development agreement. In this case, it's kind of a landlocked development, so no major gateway coming off a major highway like Headwaters, has done originally. Signage, therefore, there will be no development sign. Here you're in Hidden Creek. So staging of the development, the developer at this time anticipates constructing the entire development in 2 phases. Now, obviously, sometimes that second phase can be split into 2 or 3, just depending on economic times, but right now, half of the project is being proposed and within the phase 1. Within the packet, there is a map that shows the 2 separate stages, so you can get kind of an idea of what we're imagined for first year's construction. However, through the development, the construction, and in the construction documents and stuff like that, there will be no access trucking through infield up to the north and through all that residential neighborhood. There will be required to use Headwaters Parkway out to Fenway. Neighborhood meeting, the required neighborhood meeting part of the plat submittal was held on January 12th. Several comments and feedback were held. Typical comments you would receive on a development project like this. I think a lot of them were, addressed to drainage, to how will this affect drainage in my area, knowing some of the water issues we have north of here. All the proposed development is to take its drainage north to south, so it'd be going away from those properties. And if it does go into a pond in the east, the amount of volume that's gonna be generated through the gradient of the site is increased, so the storage is much larger than what is out there today. And the other stuff obviously will drain off to the west and through the judicial ditch that we're working through with Rice Creek Watershed District on the jurisdictional transfer. So next steps, the development is incorporate the feedback from Planning Commission that we've already had, and with staff, we've been working even since the time this report's been written. There's been a lot of updates to some of the engineering things that are in the background and public works things that are in and going to be in the plans moving forward. Went through the preliminary plat review criteria, staff review, proposed findings. There's a pretty lengthy engineering comment letter within the watershed comments, and Planning Commission review. Went through a public hearing and held a discussion on the application at the regular meeting, like I mentioned earlier, Wednesday, January 26th. Staff recommendation of the application is to approve this conditionally with the following items as outlined in the last page of the written packet. So we would propose that the City Council conditionally approve this request and make the following motion. Motion to approve the request for the Hidden Creek Phase 1 preliminary plat with the findings and conditions. Instead of 1 through 4 proposed by staff, that should now say 1 through 5. 1 through 4 as written stay the same in the proposed conditions of approval, with 1, all comments and concerns of the city staff, and specifically those identified in the engineering memo dated January 20th, 2022 shall be met prior to the final plats. Number 2, all required permits from Rice Creek Watershed must be obtained prior to the initiation of construction activity. Number 3, an improvement agreement shall be prepared by the city attorney for execution, including all required financials and charges. Number 4, all required city financial guarantees shall be submitted prior to the initiation of construction activities. And number 5, the additional condition of approval should be side yard setbacks will be set at 7.5 feet from any structure.
Side yard setbacks are at 7.5 feet.
At a minimum.
Okay. And 1 through 4 that you said are exactly as they are written in our packet,
That's
no
correct.
changes, okay. Thanks, Brian.
So at the Planning Commission meeting, the preliminary plat was approved unanimously, and thus we're here before you tonight. For any further discussion, questions, or concerns?
Council, what questions do we have of Ryan this evening? I know we also have the applicant here tonight, and we'll give you an opportunity to speak if you'd like to address council. You're welcome to do so. And actually, if you want to do that now, go ahead.
Good evening, my name is John Dobbs, and I work for Paul Berman, and live at 2453 Skyline Drive in Bloomington. Yeah, I'm here to just answer any questions. We've been working very hard with staff for a very long time, and really put together, I think, a really solid project. We're very excited to put it in the ground. I concur with everything that Ryan said. We've, and planning staff has been very diligent as well. Landowners in the audience with us, and yeah, I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you for being here. Council, do we have any questions for the applicant at this time? All right, don't go far, we may have questions.
I'll
Thank
make
you.
it brief, it's Valentine's Day.
Thank you so much. What questions might we have of Ryan? Ryan, this might have been in your packet and I might have missed it. The split for Parkland dedication between land and dollars, I'm assuming that was discussed with Parks, Trails, and Lakes. Is that correct?
It was. We were waiting for a final concept. We will go back to Parks, Lakes, and Trails now that we have a preliminary plat and shore all of that up. So we just were waiting until this last step. We didn't want to have a number of different variations So it'll go back to them sometime.
At this point in the project, if there were some concerns, is there opportunity for that to change as we
Yeah, I think
move
there's,
from preliminary
being
to
that
final?
this is a two-phase and possibly a phase to the south of this development, there may be more room for parkland. So if there's an issue that comes up, I'm sure we can resolve it.
Okay,
And that has been discussed at Parks, Trails, and Lakes Commission, actually probably a couple of them.
perfect.
My recollection.
Very good, thank you. I know this has been this project has been under consideration for a fair amount of time, and I know there's been a fair amount of discussion at the planning commission level and at the staff level. So actually, and I've had an opportunity to review those meetings, so that was my only real question for this evening. Don't know if any other council members have any other questions?
I just attended the planning commission meeting just out of the clear blue, and I think they did a good job at reviewing it and getting it straightened out. So I didn't have any more questions about it.
Brian, as we look ahead to what happens next, after approval this evening, can you just give us a timeline of next activities?
A lot of the next steps will be them addressing some of the comments in the engineering memo in the watershed district. So we're starting to get very technical from this point moving forward and get basically dialed up for final plat approval and then execution of the construction plans, which will allow us for grading this summer. And we would anticipate some house construction potentially start in late 2022.
Late this building season.
I'm assuming that's what the tentative schedule is for house building?
Yes, we're gonna grade the whole site and build about half of the lots, and so, hopeful to get it done by, late August, September, somewhere in there, and, after all the work is approved by the city, then building permits would start, houses would start right after that, so
Very good.
hopefully by the end of 2022.
Very good, thank you. And when you say half, do you mean half of the first phase? Is that the intent?
Yeah, we need to grade all of 125 lots, but we're only gonna pave, about 60 of them, plus or minus, but as was mentioned, we're kind of working through a lot of the details from an engineering point of view to make all that work.
Understood,
And then Rice Creek and obviously Ryan's group has to review all that.
very good.
Mayor Bain, I'll just add that, I also, just to add on to Councilmember Husnick's comment, that it was a unanimous vote to move this forward, so.
Fabulous. All right. Any other questions? Not hearing any other questions, I don't think we're ready for a motion. And again, the motion would be for approval of preliminary phase. I will just make a motion. So I move that council approves phase one, the preliminary phase one with conditions 1 through 4 as in,
1 through 5.
I was going to say 1 through 4 as indicated in the staff memo, adding a 5th condition for side yard setbacks with a minimum of 7.5 feet. Ryan, did I state that correctly? All right, so
I'll
there is a
second.
motion, there's a second from Councilmember Munson. Any further discussion? I'll just add, it's great to see this coming forward. I know it's been under consideration for quite some time, and nice to see this portion of the city being built out. So happy to support the preliminary plat this evening. With that, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? And motion carries. Thank you so much. Good luck with your project. Enjoy Valentine's Day. All right, with that, Finance Director approval from Patrick. I think you're walking us through this.
Yes, I am, Mayor and City Council. As you all know, that we have a vacancy in the Finance Director's position. As a result, we advertised for a new Finance Director in January. We advertised that in the League of Minnesota Cities and the Minnesota Government Finance Officers Association. We then had an interview with the gentleman sitting behind me, Kevin Nopek. He met with me early, actually in December, just as a preliminary to find out what it was all about. And then met with the department heads and myself on, I believe it was the 25th of January. It was unanimous. Everybody was really comfortable with Kevin. Kevin has a very good background as an accountant, a CPA. If you're familiar with AEM, who used to do our finances here, he was an accounting manager and an auditor with them as well. So he's very familiar with finances and all the things associated, most of the things associated with finance, especially now that audit's coming up, he'll be jumping right into that. And so what I would recommend to you, that you approve the hiring of Kevin Nopick for the finance director's position.
Very good. Thank you, Patrick. Council, any questions for Patrick this evening?
How many applicants did we have?
3.
Patrick? 3?
This is just some background. Before we advertised it, I talked to 2 separate consulting firms, search firms, and they say the finance director's position right now in any municipality is probably the hardest position to fill. And the second one is community development director position is the second hardest to fill. So we knew it was going to be a challenge. Kevin came highly recommended from Hannah, who used to work here. We made that contact. He did well, very well in the interviews. He knows his stuff, and he seems he'll fit right in with the staff. And I think it'll be an improvement in our finance operations.
Very good. Council, any other questions this evening?
And Kevin is in the audience. He's sitting right behind me.
Welcome, Kevin. Any comments or questions for council this evening?
No, this I'm really excited to get started. Looking forward to the opportunity. Been very nice meeting with Patrick and the rest of the department heads to get to know some of the city operations and what they're looking for. And it was exactly kind of what I was looking for as well as my next step in my career. So excited to get started and to serve the citizens of the city of Forest Lake.
Fabulous. Thank you.
And Kevin comes from Coon Rapids as an accounting manager. I forgot to mention that. And his first day will be tomorrow, if approved.
Excellent. Council, anybody ready for a motion this evening?
Madam Mayor, make a motion that we hire Kevin, what's the last name? Nopick. As recommended by the staff.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? And motion carries.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you very much.
Next item this evening is 7H. Council, in front of you, you have a memo for Airport Commission appointments. We have the luxury of having 2 commissioners that are seeking reappointment. And with that, I would motion that council approve appointments for, reappointments for both John Schmidt and Curtis Munson.
Mayor Bain, can we separate them out?
We should, thank you for that. So I would motion first for approval of the appointment to John Schmidt for the Airport Commission.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. And next, I would move for approval of the appointment of Curtis Munson as a reappointment to the Airport Commission.
Second.
And there is a second. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstention?
Abstain.
1 abstention. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen, for continuing to serve. All right, with that, we will move on to a discussion item that we have on our agenda this evening, and that is around precinct redistricting and revisiting a topic that we had previously discussed. Karen, do you want to walk us through this?
Thank you, Mayor Bain, council members. Before you, you have some information on redistricting for the precincts here in Forest Lake. We have 5 precincts. We are looking at shifting some boundary lines to, I guess, make things more fair in each district. Redistricting comes around every 10 years, and so this is an opportunity to take a look at what's happening down, especially in District 5. I've got information from the county. They would like to redistrict or move those lines or separate a district and add another one when the numbers of voters get close to 4,000. So in your packet, there is a map, and I provided some information back in July. That's attached as kind of some historical information, but in your packet, there's a map I'll try to get this up on the screen here. I gotta plug this in here. Give me 1 second. What I'm gonna show you is the map that we currently have, and then the proposed map. Now, this is all gonna start coming from Washington County. We don't have the actual maps yet. They should arrive, they told me, maybe around the 17th, so sometime this week. I'm hoping to get the official maps, and that would be what we redraw the lines on, and then that gets submitted all back to the county. There's resolutions that you have to go through to approve all of that. Give me 1 second here to find the map that we currently have, and I'll put that up on the screen. On the clerk side, this one, or? Coming. On the map, the first map that you'll see the different precincts. They're outlined in purple, and then it'll show precinct 1 or P1, P3. Is that coming up? What am I doing wrong? Yep. I think so. I don't know, popped up there for a second. Try what? I apologize. Thought that was gonna pop up. Can you, is there a way you can dig up the packet and then? The first map, and you do have it in your packet, is gonna show the precincts. So you'll see precinct 1, precinct 2, precinct 3. Alongside those numbers, or underneath those numbers, you'll also see from 2020, those are the actual number of voters. So precinct 1 has 2,247, precinct 2 had 1,943, precinct 3 had 2,459, precinct 4, as you move down towards the bottom of the map, had 1,944, and then precinct 5 is the one that they expressed concern over. The total number of voters was 3,649. So again, as we approach 4,000 voters, the county likes to take a look at that and say, you know, we need to account for growth over the next 10 years, and maybe need to split that district or do some redrawing of the lines. And in this case, we talked with staff, and determination was made we could potentially just redraw the lines and shift some of those voters into precinct 4. Dan's working on getting the map up here for me, so.
Karen, while you're, we were waiting for the technology to work here, just to clarify, when we talk about redrawing the line in a municipal lines, because of Forest Lake, because we don't have, we don't have any.
We don't have wards.
We don't have any wards. We all serve the entire city.
Correct.
There isn't any political impact to us redrawing a line. It's more of just managing volume at the polls.
Correct.
All of this, and is that, I just want to make sure that, so I know that that's true at the city level. Is that also true then at the state level? Any state lines pick up the entire city?
That is a good question. I don't know. I know with these individual cities with the wards, that's where it becomes a big issue. Here, it's not. It is just about the polling locations and making sure that people have as easy access as they can to get to the polling locations. As far as state lines, that I don't know. I'd have to consult with Washington County Elections Office to see.
Could you confirm that? Because that does have a bigger impact than just managing volume at a polling place.
Right.
And that'd be helpful to know. I know you're not expecting any action tonight, but that'd be helpful to know going into our final discussion.
Yeah, and I will say that because this is going to move fast, so February 28th would be the next date. If you look at the statutory timeline, that would be the next date that this has to come back to you guys after I get those maps. We redraw those lines. That's when it's gonna come back to you guys to make a decision on what we're gonna do. And then I believe that also comes with a resolution on that. Pulling up.
Karen, do you happen to know, because that's a pretty heavily concentrated population in that area, the shift, do we have an idea of numbers there at all?
We don't have an idea of numbers, but we do know that, as staff discussed, north of County Road 50, there is going to be more development in that area. And so what we're looking at, we're having difficulty getting this up onto the screen. What we're looking at, though, is on the next map, so if you scroll down, you'll see on the next map, and pardon my squiggly green lines on there, where the boundary line, where we're looking to or suggesting that it gets shifted to. So instead of going straight down Harrow Avenue, up and down Harrow Avenue, that boundary line will come under Precinct 2, and it will go south down Lake Street or Highway 61, and then cut across 50th, jog down a little bit, and then connect back to Harrow Avenue. So it'll capture that whole neighborhood right there, plus any new development that goes in there, and shift that over into Precinct 4. So that's going to alleviate some of that pressure on Precinct 5 with those 3,900 voters, shift them all over into the 4th precinct.
And that's what I was wondering, if
Yeah.
we were able to quantify.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a total number of residents that live in just that little section.
Okay.
Yeah, and we also had to take into consideration the future development we know is going to happen. And we talk about
Yeah.
Precinct 5, that's going to be a major portion of new residential development. And also, as Karen mentioned, on what would be the new Precinct 4 has proposals, I believe, for 3 or 4 new subdivisions. So trying to anticipate the future, when you get to 2030, it's going to be a major probably redraw of all of these. But we're trying to just, make it balance out right now.
Based on the numbers, so in our packet, is this page 129, the one that has the number of voters by precinct in the 2020 election. Right now, you've got about 1,900 in precinct 4, but then 3,600 in precinct 5. And so shifting 4 more into 5, I think, balances that out a little bit, and also provides then some nice room in 5 for future growth, which we do know is going to happen. We also, if I'm correct, isn't 4's future development is a little bit more concentrated, right? It's
Yes.
because of wetlands, there isn't going to be the expanse that we would see in 5.
5 will be big.
The other option that was proposed by the county, just make sure we're talking about all options, was that to split precinct 5 into 2 and to add a 6th?
Correct. That would be to add. Then what comes along with that is we would have to locate a new polling location, also by resolution. So all the polling locations have to be voted on by resolution. That's an option too. We could break 5 up and add another precinct with a new location.
And the challenge there is to find a location to
Yeah.
have the new precinct, which can be difficult as well.
Once these changes are made, is it something we have to live with for 10 years, or?
For 10 years.
So there's no changing things in 4 years if we have to?
No, it kind of goes along with the census,
Okay,
so.
well, something to consider anyways, because
So goal today is to just get some initial feedback from council.
Right.
Because Karen, you're going to need us to take action in 2 weeks, is that right?
Correct, yep. As long as I get those maps from the county, and they're still up in the air of when they're gonna actually receive them and then get them out to cities. The date I've been given is potentially the 17th, so this week, hopefully, I have them.
I think doing that shift from 4 into 5 and staying with 5 precincts makes sense. I think there's room for that. But that's just my opinion, just in terms of giving feedback in advance.
I don't think anything that we're doing here is going to hurt anybody. There might be a little bit of a pushback with the folks that were that just north of the Washington County. Oh, I got to drive all the way to Hosanna, so That
Yeah.
might be,
Truthfully, I didn't hear any comments or complaints or feedback or anything from residents or the county that there was an issue of waiting in lines at the Washington County Service Center where the voting in Precinct 5 is. The issues actually fell here at the city center for precincts 1 and 2. And so back in December, I believe it was, you voted and we moved precinct 1 back into precinct 1, and they will be voting at the senior center. So that's going to alleviate any pressure voting here. And then precinct 5, I really didn't, there was no comment or feedback about that.
Yeah, I think the shift with precinct 4 is certainly a viable option. It just would be nice to have a little bit of a crystal ball, you know, in terms of, you know, what do we anticipate in terms of growth in precinct 5? Does it make sense to leave precinct 4 alone and split precinct 5? But then we've got the added issue of location, voting location, so.
Voting location and also the expense around operating another location.
Correct. So if we do add another precinct, there is an additional expense. I think the preliminary numbers I got last year when we started talking about this was to add another precinct. What I calculated out and then what the county kind of confirmed is it's probably gonna be at least somewhere around $15,000 to add to that on. So, because we have a joint powers agreement with Washington County who, they administer our elections. So, there would be that additional expense. There's gonna be some increase in expense because of additional, if we don't do something and shift this, they may have to do additional, poll booths at precinct 5 to account for any lines or, you know, extra people voting in that precinct. So either shift it over or add another. The cost would be less if we simply just move the boundaries.
Is it possible for, when we look at this again, to take an estimate of what the current population is of the shift? Is that possible? I know we can't probably get to voters, but if we, can we get to like household units or something?
I can try to capture that. I think with our GIS capability, I think I can maybe get a count on the houses. I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure I can work with,
Just close.
It'd be helpful
try to
to
figure it
at least
out.
know.
Yeah.
Anything else we'd like to see as this comes back?
Is that just of current ones or also the possible expansions in 5? I know there's a lot of concept plans and reviews at the Planning Commission in that area.
Might be just helpful to also see kind of pipeline of proposed units to the extent it's known.
Yeah, I think, wasn't there a conversation about that we discussed maybe somewhere between 300 to 500 units?
Yeah, actually, Nathan just did a population estimate, future, so I'm sure we can come up with something close to,
Yeah.
based on the submissions that we have and what we know, knowing, of course, that they may happen or they may not.
Right.
well, personally, I think the thing that makes sense, you know, we're just trying to even things out for everybody and try to make it a little bit easier for everybody, so
Correct.
I think the general idea is good. If we have to change something along the way between now and the 28th, but, I think,
Yeah, it's coming fast, so.
yeah.
So if you look at the timeline, you'll see how fast everything's gonna have to happen. And that's by statute, so we have to hit these marks with the meetings. And this was the first opportunity to bring this all back to council. And I wish I had the maps right now, but I don't, so.
Yeah, because without the crystal ball, the 10-year thing scares me a little bit because, you know, but gotta live with it for a long time, so,
Yeah, it's an important decision.
yeah.
Anything else we'd like Karen to bring back? So some estimates of additional households impacted by the shift, either current as well as projected, and then also just helpful to confirm that these lines don't change any other political boundaries or any other, wouldn't impact any other regional or state races.
Okay.
All right. We will move on to staff updates. And we will start with Karen.
Licensing's done. That went well. everybody got their license. That's about it. Working on this and some other things.
That's a nice milestone. Excellent. Dan?
Mayor, members of council, I just want to remind everybody that next Tuesday on the 22nd at 6:30, there'll be the joint meeting with the City Council, Downtown Committee, and EDA. Bruce from HKGI will be reporting out on the feedback that he's received so far on the downtown directives. And we'll also be asking for feedback from the group on the directives. So the goal of the meeting is to really sort of solidify out that, yes, these are the directives that we want the downtown plan to focus on. He'll then take those back and start to develop the next level of the plan, which is more of the executables, the actual projects that come out of the plan, and then those will come back for another round of public engagement as well. So next Tuesday, the 22nd, joint meeting, which is the normally scheduled council workshop. So it's not an out-of-sequence meeting for council, but just want everybody to be aware that is a joint meeting with EDA and Downtown Committee.
Moved because of President's Day, right? President's Day is that Monday?
Yes, correct.
Yes, 6:30 start?
6:30.
Yeah.
All right.
Are members of the community welcome to attend that? Other members of the community?
It's primarily designed for council, EDA, and downtown committee feedback. The community members were able to come in at the open engagement session and online engagement session, but
Okay.
community members can come and observe, but the primary feedback will come from the boards at that meeting.
Okay.
If we happen to have a large community presence, I would recommend that we reserve an appropriate amount of time, 10, 15 minutes at the end of the meeting to hold an open forum session for community members to ask questions or to have some sort of input.
And I know Bruce is sort of open on the format as well, because he kind of knows that this is sort of like the big feedback meeting. He's going to get a lot of that feedback in from the community and the council and EDA as to what the plan will look like. So this is sort of, the more solid direction that we can give HKGI, the better our plan is going to be, because this is sort of the last point on the directive side before we start getting the projects that come out of those directives.
Okay. All right. Amanda, welcome.
Thank you. Nothing from legal, but available for questions.
Anything for Amanda this evening? All right, Patrick?
Yeah, just to follow up on downtown, we're pretty happy with the coverage we've been getting in both the newspapers and the television. The articles and the spots on the TV news have been great. With the hiring of Kevin, we are almost back to full staff in the office. I think we're going to be we still have one position to permanently fill, so that's good. And some of the other things that we've been working on is, I've sent out to you an email last Friday. We've talked to MDOT regarding Highway 97 reconstruction and the possibility and where that's going. The Washington County and the Environmental and Yard Waste Center. And just the other one related is Gertens, the redevelopment of that site is moving along. So just a lot of development going on, a lot of moving pieces right now. So any questions, I'll be happy to take.
Patrick, I really appreciate the weekly updates or bi-weekly updates. They're just really helpful. So helpful to see the activity going on.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Dave?
Nothing to add, Stevie.
All right. Ryan?
Mayor, City Council, just give you some heads up. Few bid openings coming down the next couple weeks. February 22nd, North Shore Circle Street Utility Project. March 3rd, the lift station project. March 10th, the 2022 local street maintenance project. And then Washington County released the RFP today for County State Aid Highway 32. Another thing we're going to be re-engaging again with additional funds being allocated towards it is the water efficiency grants that we've been chasing 2 times in the past. We're going to reopen that category to include all irrigation and high efficiency washing machines and low flow toilets. Just last solicitation, we just did irrigation and didn't get quite the applications we wanted. Just add on to Pat, City Administrator's comment about development. We also had a pre-development application meeting with a daycare facility down in the Headwaters area too. So all kinds of different things are coming through the pipeline right now. That's all I have unless you have any questions.
Terrific. Any questions for Ryan? Chief Peterson?
Yeah, Mayor and City Council members, I have a couple of updates for you this evening. First off, I wanted to give you a synopsis of 2021 and our calls for service. In 2021, the police department handled just over 16,500 calls for service. This is very similar to the number of calls for service that we took in 2020. Some of the more significant calls were traffic stops or traffic violations at just over 2,300 calls, medicals at just over 1,100 calls, mental health or mental illness at almost 600 calls, motor vehicle accidents and residential or business alarms both were just over 600 calls for service, and there were 66 stolen vehicles last year. I plan on having the calls for service updated on our website soon. We've been working with Washington County on our records management system, and they do have that capability. And now that we have at least a couple of years under our belt, I really feel those numbers are very accurate, and I'd like to get that out to the community. And then next, as many of you have probably heard or seen on local media outlets, a local business in Forest Lake was burglarized last week. And the Forest Lake Police Department needs your help in trying to identify the suspect and if there's any information that residents may have in regards to the burglary. We do have a video posted on our Facebook page of the potential suspect. And since the investigation is since the incident is under investigation, there's not a whole lot more I can get into in further detail. With that being said, if anyone has information on the identity of this individual or information regarding the burglary, please call the Forest Lake Police Department at 651-464-5877 or the Washington County Communications Center at 651-439-9381. And that's all I have for you this evening, unless you have questions for me.
Thank you, Chief. Anything for Chief this evening? All right, Chief Newman.
No updates.
No updates. All right, and Kim.
No updates unless the council and mayor have any questions for me.
Any questions for Kim? All right, and Kevin, we will include you next time.
Sounds good.
All right, we will move on to council updates. Just go down the line. Let's start with Councilmember Munson.
No update tonight.
All right, Councilmember Byström.
Nothing for me.
All right, Councilmember Husnick.
Just to mention that we attended a planning commission meeting that took up some time here tonight, so that was all explained, and that was it. So, thank you.
Councilmember Valento.
Just that I'm jumping for the winter plunge, and I'm super excited. I've never done it before, so I'm thrilled.
Excellent.
Super excited might not be a term you use once you
Yeah, afterwards I might have a different opinion, but for now I'm super excited.
Yeah, you're not allowed to change your opinion.
Love
Yeah.
that you're doing it.
Councilmember Valento, I actually had a milkshake after I did it at Quex, yes, so it's fun.
All right, and I also don't have any updates this evening. So with that, somebody want to move us into closed sessions?
I move to close the meeting pursuant to Minnesota Statute Section 13D.05, Subdivision 3B, for discussion regarding parcel number 20.032.21.23.0004, and a discussion regarding city-owned real estate for a downtown development proposal. The closed meeting will be held in the Forest Lake Conference Room and will commence immediately. Once the closed meeting is completed, the City Council will reconvene the open meeting portion of tonight's City Council meeting in council chambers. There being no further items on the agenda, once back in open session, the council will simply adjourn the meeting.
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose, and we're in closed session.